Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who's in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody that's in the building early. All right. Shout out to AB Promotions. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Carlton Way. We got Roots Trackers in the building. We got my man Mike Nice in the house. Shout out to Black Free Thinker, Miss Nisi in the building. Shout out to Alexandria. Shout out to Katsy. Make sure y'all throw some like enforcers in the chat for Katsy for being a like enforcer. Shout out to my man Torian. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Tampa Supreme. We got X is that X1 or XI? X89. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to Tedra. Shout out to DSB. DC Precise in the building. Shout out to Kale. All right. Shout out to everybody, man. It's good to see all of y'all in here. All right. So eventually we're going to get to talking about these new announcements that have been made. How many people heard about the announcements? What are the announcements? If you guys heard about the announcements, let me know what they are. Let me know what them announcements are. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm curious as to if those announcements are going to make any difference. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to look into some things before we get into that. All right. The first thing I want to get into is this company called Polymarket. How many people have ever heard of Polymarket? If you guys have heard of Polymarket, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not, give me a thumbs down. If you had not heard of Polymarket, you should pay attention to Polymarket. Polymarket is one of the places that gathers statistics, and they use these statistics to try to make predictions and to make assessments based on future events. All right. I think it's also a place where you can, quote unquote, place wagers on things. Vitalik Buterin. Who is Vitalik Buterin? Somebody let me know who Vitalik Buterin is in the chat. Praises Polymarket as platform smashes growth records. So let me ask you guys this. If this platform smashed the growth records, if you owned a part of this company, how's that going to affect you? You're going to have made some nice capital gains, right? Despite the praise and growth, many have criticized the platform for trading too close to traditional gambling. All right. So now here it says Web3 prediction platform, Polymarket, is experiencing unprecedented growth, fueled largely by the upcoming 2024 presidential election. Now, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this to tell you this. The fact that Polymarket is a crypto-based platform and it's blowing up in regards to people getting statistics and placing getting information about the election, that shows you the use case for crypto and blockchain in the future. If you ask me, this is a indication, this is an early indicator of how adaptable crypto and blockchain technology will be. Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. The platform has already achieved its highest growth volumes or its highest trading volumes and user participation to date this month, solidifying its status as a significant player in the prediction market space. Consecutive growth record. Polymarket's trading volume hit 390.6 million in August, marking the fourth consecutive month of record-setting figures for the platform based on Dune Analytics data. The number of active users on the platform also reached a new milestone with 53,981 traders engaging this month. Additionally, open interest on the platform peaked at 103.3 million on August 22nd, demonstrating an increase in the prediction markets. All right. And you guys know when it comes to something like the presidential election or when it comes to something like the Super Bowl or something like that, that's going to make this stuff go crazy because everybody wants to predict and everybody wants to be right. Right? A substantial portion of this activity is driven by election-related markets, which accounted for 87.6% of Polymarket's trading volume over the past week. In mid-July, these markets were even more dominant, representing 93.2% of the platform's weekly trading volume. While the presidential election is the primary driver, all right, Polymarket's non-election markets are also showing growth. So as you guys can see, the presidential election definitely has had an effect on this. Okay. And the fact that people are utilizing this more, and this is a new and emerging technology, people are going to be on this. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me ask somebody in the chat, if there's anybody in the chat that's willing to do some quick research, take a look and see how much the stock price has grown over the last 2 or 3 years, and let us know in the chat. Over the past week, 19,135 users traded in non-election markets, a significant increase from the 424 users recorded in May. These markets, the 424 users recorded in May, these markets achieved a weekly volume peak of 28.3 million in late July, though this has since decreased to 17.8 million. Okay. So that's pretty interesting. You know what I'm saying? How many people have been looking at their election results and predictions through Polymarket? If you guys have been looking at your election predictions and things like that through Polymarket, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not, then give me a thumbs down. Now, the next thing that we're about to do is we're about to take a look at this video about this judge allegedly targeting voter registration efforts in Texas. If you guys heard of this situation here, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about this situation, then give me a thumbs down. All right. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share this stream to your social media.
Welcome back to America Decides. Latino activists are calling for a federal investigation into a series of raids conducted by the Texas Attorney General's office in an effort to investigate allegations of voting improprieties. AG Ken Paxton's office said these undercover operations are happening in response to allegations that surfaced that accuse some organizations of Texas of possibly unlawfully registering non-citizens.
Now, see, so now we have this problem again, the lawfully, unlawfully registering of non-citizens. This is going to continue to be a problem, if you ask me.
Or engaging in ballot harvesting. But the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, is denouncing the raids as, quote, point-blank voter intimidation.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. LULAC, when you hear LULAC talk about issues, do they talk about black and brown and all of that stuff? I've never heard of LULAC before. We definitely going to be keeping an eye on them now. But that's my question. I'm just curious. Do they just go ahead and throw the black and brown thing on stuff, or do they just deal with what they're dealing with right here? Let me know.
Of possibly unlawfully registering non-citizens or engaging in ballot harvesting. But the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, is denouncing the raids as, quote, point-blank voter intimidation. Juan Proaño joins me now. He is the CEO of LULAC. Juan, it's great to see you. Describe what happened in these raids and what raises the highest level of concern for your organization.
Good evening, Mr. Garrett. What we heard on Thursday was very concerning to us. On Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., Lydia Martinez, a 35-year member of LULAC, was served with a search warrant. 7 to 8 police officers entered her home. They interrogated her for over 3 hours.
I did not know that. Shout out to Tedra. How many people knew that? Tedra said LULAC endorsed Kamala Harris. If you guys were aware that LULAC endorsed Kamala Harris, give me a thumbs up. If you were not, give me a thumbs down.
Looking for cell phones, computers, documentation relative to her voter registration efforts in San Antonio.
And what is the source of the information that led the Attorney General's office to take these actions, so far as you can tell?
There are a couple different narratives that we're hearing, but essentially he's saying that he started this election integrity investigation over 2 years ago. It seems like it basically goes back to a Republican candidate who lost and basically reported, voter harvesting as the result of that. There was no evidence that was provided at all whatsoever.
So these raids occurred because subpoenas were issued, and you're still trying to find out what the source material or the evidentiary basis of those subpoenas was. Is that correct?
That's correct. There have been, at least from what we can tell, about 5 different subpoenas issued as of last Tuesday. Unfortunately, it took us about 48 hours to learn of this because the victims in this particular case were told not to talk to anyone about it. They were left without cell phones, without computers. In our case, Lydia Martinez, without her appointment book, which she basically uses to track all of her doctor's appointments, prescription medicine, no way to actually even contact her family. She actually had to drive to a neighbor's home to get help reconnecting with her family.
Has there been
Now, shout out to Robert Doss. Robert Doss says LULAC presidents have expressed anti-black sentiments in the past. I'm curious, how many people remember that woman, Nuri Martinez from California? Mind you, she's a Democrat. You remember her? I wonder, is she related to LULAC in any way? I'm curious.
Any effort to obtain a judicial injunction on this activity?
One of the defendants, Manuel Medina, actually.
Shout out to Tedra for putting this link in the chat. You guys can go and check this out. CBSnews.com, LULAC, nation's oldest, largest Latino civil rights organization, endorse Kamala Harris. Okay.
Actually has. So he has a lawyer, and he has filed an injunction to stop the search of all the devices that essentially were seized during that raid. But we're working with our GULAG members to ensure that they also have legal protection and legal counsel as well.
When the Attorney General's office says, as it did in the announcement of this is just a matter of making sure that voting is legal and proper in Texas, when you hear that, what about that sounds intimidating to your organization? Or is
Now, let me ask you guys this. We've talked about voting rights before. If you guys haven't looked at the voting rights videos that I've done, please take a moment. Make sure you guys check those videos out. But here's the question, right? Here's the question. How does this, quote unquote, affect us? So you got to ask, when they're talking about voting rights and they talk to you about this kind of situation, or they talk to you about identifications and different things like that, why are they giving us the speech about this stuff? Most of this stuff doesn't even affect us.
Is it the way the raids were conducted?
It's not just the way that the raids were conducted. This is a pattern that the Attorney General Paxton has actually been pursuing for some time. In early June, he went after the Catholic Charities of Rio Grande Valley, a highly esteemed organization that provides support for immigrants legally in the United States.
There you go. You guys, so now you see what's going on here. So there's a lot of wheels behind the scene. Okay. There's a lot of wheels going on behind the scene.
Not just the way that the raids were conducted. This is a pattern that the Attorney General Paxton has actually been pursuing for some time. In early June, he went after the Catholic Charities of Rio Grande Valley, a highly esteemed organization that provides support for immigrants legally in the United States. In July, he went after the Annunciation House, which is a refugee home for migrants as well. 2 weeks ago, he went after over 24 Latino nonprofit organizations that are basically serving the community.
So you see what's going on here. If you guys see what's going on here, give me a thumbs up. If you don't see what's going on here, give me a thumbs down.
They act as the social safety net when the federal government cannot provide for these families. And just last week, he went after community leaders. So our big surprise was essentially that he's gone beyond the pale. He's going after individuals, LULAC members, Latino leaders, civic leaders, essentially in their community that are doing what they should be doing, which is engaging Latinos who are eligible to vote in these elections.
Now, notice how he specifically said Latinos. He didn't say black and brown people. Made that very clear. Very clear, right? Very clear. So my question is then, for the people who are always on the TV for us, why do you all always say black and brown? Here's brown. They're not saying black. I'm just asking.
The surprise was essentially that he's gone beyond the pale. He's going after individuals, LULAC members, Latino leaders, civic leaders, essentially in their community that are doing what they should be doing, which is engaging Latinos who are eligible to vote in these elections.
Juan, does it tell you anything about the state of play of Texas politically from the vantage point of Republicans that this activity is taking on prominence in the headlines? And how do you believe not only your organization, but those sympathetic with it in Texas are likely to respond?
There's been a huge shift in Texas, right? Today, as it stands, there are 12.1 million Hispanics in Texas. That's 39% of the population in the state of Texas. Latinos actually outnumber non-Hispanic whites.
Do you guys hear that? These are some very important population statistics that people should pay attention to that are definitely going to have implications moving forward. Okay. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed that like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. All right. We got 29 people watching and we got 24 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 40, that'd be great.
Sympathetic with it in Texas are likely to respond.
There's been a huge shift in Texas, right? Today, as it stands, there are 12.1 million Hispanics in Texas. That's 39% of the population in the state of Texas. Latinos actually outnumber non-Hispanic whites in the state of Texas. And when you account for Hispanic, African-American, Asian Americans, you're talking about 58% of the population of Texas are minorities. Texas is now...
So think about what he just said. 58% of the population are minorities. If you're over 51% in a given area, you're not a minority. So if we're talking about Texas, just Texas itself, if you make up 58% of Texas, you're not a minority in Texas, mathematically. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make sense, give me a thumbs down.
Percent of the population in the state of Texas. Latinos actually outnumber non-Hispanic whites in the state of Texas. And when you account for Hispanic, African American, Asian Americans, you're talking about 58% of the population of Texas are minorities. Texas is now a majority minority state, and Republicans in control are afraid.
A majority minority state. What does that mean? Texas is now a majority minority state. Now, here's another question. Can anybody see any other states becoming quote unquote majority minority states? If you can, name the state that you see moving in that direction. Now, here's my question. How does that affect us? That's the question. Let me know what you guys think.
Texas. Latinos actually outnumber non-Hispanic whites in the state of Texas. And when you account for Hispanic, African American.
Shout out to my man Saul. What's good with it, bro? Make sure y'all subscribe to Salty Balls and Machismo TV too. Hey, yo, bro, drop your link into the chat so people can go and check your stuff out, man. Salty says, LULAC history pressured the U.S. Census Bureau to reclassify persons of Mexican descent from the designation of Mexican to white. Oh, that was LULAC who did that. Wow. How many people were aware of that? If you guys were aware of that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys were not aware of that, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to you for that info, bro. Appreciate it.
Asian Americans, you're talking about 58% of the population of Texas are minorities. Texas is now a majority minority state, and Republicans in control are afraid that they will exercise their vote and they will vote them out of office.
Do you believe Texas in the presidential election is actually in play?
You know, there are certain specific districts that are absolutely in play, right? And so
shout out to Jared. What's good with it, bro?
Was actually on a candidate that's actually running in District 60, I believe. And so there is absolutely no question that this is a voter intimidation tactic. It is an effort to threaten our community activists, our community leaders, and to also chill the Latino vote. We are writing a letter, and I've written a letter delivered us.
So you guys see, he specifically said the Latino vote. He did not say black and brown. The Latino vote. Okay.
Letter to the Assistant Attorney General, Kristen Clark, who's in charge of the Civil Rights Division, and we're demanding an investigation.
Juan Perano of LULAC, we thank you very much.
So there's that. All right. Pretty interesting. Interesting dynamics. Interesting how things are changing, right? So how many people have heard now they're attacking that quote unquote chart, the immigration chart that, you know, Trump says saved his life when he was shot at that rally in Pennsylvania. According to CNN is saying that Trump is lying about the southern border and that he's using this chart, this quote unquote deceptive chart, to support his lies. That's what they're saying. Now, let me ask you guys this question. We've been following these things. Is Trump lying about the border? If he is, give me a thumbs up. If he's not, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to John Guillory. What's good with you, bro?
Donald Trump says it saved his life. The immigration chart he turned to look at just as a gunman tried to kill him at a rally in July. He still uses the chart to show monthly migrant encounters at the southern border. But a new CNN fact check shows the information he keeps sharing is deceptive, intentionally misleading, and doesn't show the full story at all. CNN's Daniel Dale is here now to fact check this for us. Daniel, what are you seeing in this chart that is just wrong?
Yeah, so Sarah, we're talking about this not because it helped save the former president's life, which we're all grateful for, but because he keeps deploying this chart to lie about border statistics in rallies, other speeches, and in interviews. And in fact, the chart itself contains a lie. So if you look at that chart, you'll see some arrows. There's one arrow towards the right side pointing upwards. It points to a particularly small bar, so particularly low level of migrant encounters at the southern border. And the text beside that arrow says Trump leaves office, lowest illegal immigration in recorded history. And Trump himself keeps pointing to that arrow in his remarks. So listen to something he said recently.
If you look at the arrow on the bottom, that's the lowest level, the one on the bottom, heavy red arrow. That's the lowest level of illegal immigrants ever to come into our country in recorded history, right there. Right there. And that was my last week in office. And then you see what happened after I left.
So here's the lie. That arrow does not actually point to when he left office in January 2021, and it certainly doesn't point to his last week in office. What does it actually point to? It points to April 2020, so with more than 8 months still left in his term, when migration around the world plummeted because of the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So in that month, April 2020, the Border Patrol had about 16,000 encounters with migrants in between ports of entry at the southern border. And then after April 2020, with Trump still in office, the number of encounters rose each and every month. So for more than 8 months, going up to more than 75,000 encounters when he actually left office in January 2021.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to my man Salty Balls with the $20 super chat. Make sure y'all show him some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, and some ducks in the chat for Saul T.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Saul says, y'all support this brother for being on the digital front line. By the way, you are welcome by Machismo TV to swing by anytime. I appreciate you, bro, and I definitely will. I'm going to take you up on it.
Now, it is true that the number of encounters continue to increase when President Biden and Vice President Harris took over. But what this arrow falsely claims, and what the former president himself is falsely claiming, is that the low point occurred when he left, and then it suddenly began increasing when, in fact, Biden and Harris took over when the number was actually on an upward trend for about 3/4 of a year before they were sworn in. So a classic example of how you can lie, how you can deceive using so-called statistics. Sarah?
And no one knows, right? Because there's a lot going on. But I just want to point out, because there's a lot of arrows here. This is the arrow where he says Trump leaves office, and this is where the big fact check needed to happen.
That's right. That's the bad arrow.
Daniel Dale, we always love having you. Thank you so much, Sean.
You approached the wall.
I touched the wall, and now I'm in
all
deep
the way
trouble.
up to the wall. You almost touched it.
I might have touched it, John, but don't tell anyone. The bosses are watching.
Who knows what will happen? It's like crossing streams in Ghostbusters.
So now let me ask you guys this question. Has anything that they said debunked any of what we've been criticizing about the southern border or about the migrant crisis? They made a big production to just focus on one little point, which even that point is arguable.
Who knows what happens if you touch it? All right. This morning, more than 200 Republicans who previously worked for former presidents George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and or former senators John McCain and Mitt Romney, they signed a letter backing Vice President Harris for president. The list includes former chiefs of staff, press secretaries, campaign managers, interns. There are some interns.
Now, this is interesting, right? Because it seems like there's a lot of party switching going on. Would you guys agree? There's a lot of party switching going on, as we'll be talking about RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. But all these Republicans coming out in support of Kamala Harris, what do you guys think is actually going on here behind the scenes?
List as well. With me now is Rosario Marin, former U.S. Treasurer under George W. Bush. We saw your name on the dollar bill. Nice to see you in person this morning. Now, your name is not on this list, but you are supporting Vice President Harris. Why?
Yes. So back on July 31st, I put out a statement saying that I support Vice President Kamala Harris because we have seen what 40 out of 44 cabinet members of Donald Trump have warned us. We have seen what they have said. I don't know him. I have never been in the room with him, but I have been with President Bush, with.
So this is a good person to get to talk about this stuff then, right? She's a great person to get to discuss this then, right?
First of Donald Trump have warned us. We have seen what they have said. I don't know him. I have never been in the room with him, but I have been with President Bush, with Senator McCain, with Mitt Romney. These are honorable men. Donald Trump is not. And I have seen and I have heard people who have worked.
I don't think there's no politicians that are honorable men. I would disagree. Very few and far between. And the ones who probably are honorable, you don't get any valor for honor or integrity. So we probably wouldn't know them because the media wouldn't construct them as an honest person. Most of what we know about these people are media constructions. Would you guys agree?
with him, saying he's going to be a danger. If he was a danger before, he's even more dangerous now. And the fact that he has said that he will be a dictator from day one, that should scare all of us. So back on July 31st, I said,
TD did a video about that. I'm gonna just reiterate that so that you guys can hear what this woman just said.
"These are honorable men. Donald Trump is not." And I have seen and I have heard people who have worked with him saying he's going to be a danger. If he was a danger before, he's even more dangerous now. And the fact that he has said that he will be a dictator from day one, that should scare all of us. So back on July 31st, I said, I am voting for Kamala Harris. I am really tired of all the things that they have said against her. And she's a very accomplished woman.
Facts. I agree 100%. If you guys agree with Jared, there's no such thing as honorable men in politics. Give me some flames in the chat. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Of course, I'm from California, so I'm a little bit biased, but I understand that we can no longer have another 4 years of chaos, 4 years of we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's going to say every day. I'm exhausted every day. When he was in office, I was just exhausted. We don't need 4 more years of that.
You know, I'm curious.
What is this? She was just exhausted. You know what I'm saying? She was tired. You know what I'm saying? Every day she was in office, she was just tired. I gotta go work with him. Lord have mercy. Make me work with him one more day.
Tie this bitch up! Swing the remix guard! I'll tear this bitch up! Tie this bitch up! I will! Tie this bitch up! I will! Tie this bitch up! I'll tear this bitch up!
Oh, man.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
All right, man, let's go.
You said July 31st when she was a candidate. Had you not supported publicly President Biden until then?
No, I had supported. It's like I am going to support anybody that is running against Donald Trump.
Got it.
So I was supporting him.
So there you go. Don't focus on any policies or anything like that. It's all about focus on who's opposite of Donald Trump. To me, I don't think that that's the best voting strategy. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't think that that's the best voting strategy. I've said it since day one. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't think that that's the best thing to do. I don't think that that's very wise at all. What do you guys think?
And then when it was clear that it was going to be her, or that it was her rather, then I immediately supported her.
Well, you mentioned the former cabinet officials, White House staff, and others, people who have worked.
So I want you guys to pay attention to what she just told you all that she did. She just supported Kamala Harris because she doesn't like Trump. Now, here's the thing, right? People say, well, then just vote for anybody other than Trump. There's a lot of anybody's other than Trump who are running, right? Let me ask you guys in the comment section, who are all of the anybody's other than Trump that are running?
For Donald Trump, who are either now supporting Harris vocally or not endorsing Trump. There are all different variations here. We've had conversations about this, and some Trump supporters will say, oh, these are people who just couldn't get on board with all the changes that Trump wanted to make. This doesn't speak to his leadership style or what he's like behind closed doors. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I got to agree with Katsy. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy says both sides are doing it. Anyone but Harris, anyone but Trump. Yeah, facts. I agree. Shout out to Miss Niecy. Miss Niecy said both candidates are like my dude Jazzbo the Reaper. Both candidates are acting like a woman. Both candidates acting like a woman. Man, that dude is hilarious, man. But yeah, I gotta agree. I gotta agree. If you guys agree with Miss Niecy, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
It speaks precisely to his leadership styles. See, a leader brings people together, creates consensus. A dictator sets either my way or the highway. And
bro, that dude is hilarious, man. That dude is hilarious. He said, what you think about Trump? What you think about Trump and Biden? I don't know. They both sitting up there acting like a woman. Both presidential candidates sitting there acting like a woman. That's hilarious. Shout out to Jazzbo the Reaper. That is not my original content. I stole that from Jazzbo the Reaper. Go check his channel out. Dude is hilarious. Just want to put that out there. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't it interesting how the people that know him the best would not support him? That to me speaks volumes. Most of us, I mean, I saw many of the people who I work with, who I have this tremendous desire to keep our democracy strong and growing. All of those people, those 200 people, yes, they're all levels. You know, I know he mentioned something, these are nobodies. Like, are you kidding? These are people that work so hard, or whether it was in the administrations with both President Bush's or with Senator McCain or with Senator Romney or in their campaigns. These are people that really, truly care, not just about our party, but more importantly about our democracy, about America, about the United States. And so
how can she prove any of this? Shout out to Sybil. What's good with it, Sybil? How can she prove any of this, what she's claiming? And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching, man. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. We got 29 people watching and we got 24 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and try to get us to 40, that would be great.
If all of these people, and every day, Don, every day we have more people coming on board, Republicans. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy for Republicans, you know, stalwart Republicans, people that have been on the trenches. I know it's not easy. But the reality is, if he gets back into the White House, God knows what's going to happen to our great nation.
So here we go with the fear mongering, right? Now, here's the thing that's interesting. The same people, right? Not the same people, but the people on the other side, they're using a similar narrative, right? Everybody is using this narrative of, quote unquote, America has to be saved. America needs to be rescued. Literally, both sides are saying that. You know what I'm saying? So interestingly, right, as we move on, how many people have heard about the new Trump attack strategy is just to, quote unquote, ridicule him and, quote unquote, make fun of him? Again, we're getting into some very bizarre territory with this election because I've never really seen anything like this. When do you just make fun of somebody and that's your method of dealing with them? That's my question for you guys. Now we're going to take a look at this because they did a whole, believe it or not, they did a whole segment on this. It's on MSNBC. It says, he hates to be ridiculed. Writers say Dems have found Trump's Achilles heel. I think that most people hate to be ridiculed. Is there anybody in here that loves to be ridiculed? If you love to be ridiculed, give me a thumbs up. We'll roast you now. You know what I'm saying? We'll set the comment section on you and everything. We get you together if that's what you like, if you want to be roasted. But I didn't think that was something that people like. According to this is a Trump-specific thing.
Public, Michael Tomasky. His latest piece is titled, Finally, the Democrats have found Trump's Achilles heel. Ridicule him. In it, Michael...
Can't make this stuff up. Can't make this stuff up. Now, John Guillory is sitting here laughing because he know this strategy right here is just like, and like, why? You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Making fun of somebody to get to him, man, that's just like a mom. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, that's hilarious, man. That is hilarious, man.
Writes in part, quote, it's great on three levels. The first is that it must drive Trump nuts. And when he goes nuts, he says especially nutty things.
Shante,
second, it's arguably more persuasive to swing voters than calling Trump a fascist. And third, and most of all, sustained ridicule has the potential to reinforce the downward spiral that Trump is in now. Ridicule makes him weaker. Ridicule makes him small. Ridicule makes him desperate. Michael, I enjoyed reading the piece. And then I went back to 2000, and I think it was 2011, and that White House Correspondents' Dinner where Donald Trump was so roundly ridiculed by Barack Obama and by the host of the show. And guess what he did? He ended up running for president. And I'm just
he ran for president and won. You left that part out. How many of y'all remember that? I remember that. And that's what I was saying about the Democrats better be careful about how they deal with Trump, because the last time they thought it was funny and did all that roasting, they roasted him right into the White House. But then, you know what I'm saying? You got people sitting up there saying that I'm quote unquote pandering to Trump. These are all real things that we literally saw. You can look this stuff up. You know what I mean? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. You got me dying, bro. So, again, this is what I'm saying. They kind of need to be careful with how they go about doing things. They kind of need to be careful with how they go about doing things.
Donald Trump was so roundly ridiculed by Barack Obama and by the host of the show. And guess what he did? He ended up running for president. And I'm just wondering, is there a downside to this ridicule?
There might be, but Caddy,
now again, I just find it interesting that they're not encouraging open policy discussions. Don't discuss policy, open forum debates, different things like that. You want to deal with Trump? Oh, just make fun of him. Just make fun of him. I mean, isn't that weird? Let me ask you guys this question. How does this method of dealing with these things, how does that improve our lives as people every day? We need to know what these presidents are offering, these presidential candidates. We need to know what they're offering. We need to know about their track record. We need to know how they respond to things. And then we need to be able to base our decision off of their assessments, not who had the best roast battle. Roasting should never be anything other than entertainment, a gauge for comedy. That's it. Not how you make a decision. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
I observed last week, and look, it's fair. Obama ridiculed Trump back then. That was a long time ago. And ever since he came down that escalator, he's been the subject of ridicule, but I think mostly from late night TV hosts, journalists, YouTubers. I thought I noticed last week something a little different. High-ranking Democrats usually spend most of their time warning people about how dangerous Trump is and how awful things will be if he gets back in the office. And there was still a fair amount of that at the convention. There's no doubt about it. But there was more ridicule than I expected to hear. Is there a downside? There may prove to be, but so far it's got him back on his heels, I think, in a pretty big way. And fear of Trump gives him power. It makes him feel powerful, I think. He loves to be feared. He hates to be ridiculed.
Michael, it's Alexi McCammond. Great piece, as Caddy mentioned, too. I think a lot about in 2016, the strategy for Democrats and Hillary Clinton was sort of when they go low, we go high. I would add a fourth reason to your piece, your great piece, as to why ridiculing Trump is a good thing, is because it makes Democrats seem more normal. It makes them seem like...
I'm going to just run this again, and I'm going to just let y'all handle this in the comment section. Now, there's a lot about this that's interesting. She said that making fun of people makes Democrats seem more normal. She literally just said that, right? But then at the same time, though, why do you need to seem more normal when it's conservatives that are going around calling everybody else weird? Yeah, right. Shout out to Miss Nisi. Miss Nisi said Democrats normal, WTF? Yeah. Yeah. Somebody make this make sense.
Mentioned too. I think a lot about in 2016, the strategy for Democrats and Hillary Clinton was sort of when they go low, we go high. I would add a fourth reason to your piece, your great piece, as to why ridiculing Trump is a good thing, is because it makes Democrats seem more normal. It makes them seem like they're talking like the average person's talking with their family or their friends at home. Could you talk more about that? And Democrats sort of not necessarily going as low as Republicans, but really just being normal people who are able to call it like it is and say, guys, this is some weird stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Alexi, and I think you're right. And the first thing that comes to mind when you say that, of course, is Tim Walz's comment from before he was.
I got to agree. Shout out to Torian. Torian said none of them are normal. These things are more alien than that ET. Facts. Super facts.
The vice presidential nominee when he said these guys are weird. And yeah, I just think with a swing voter who isn't a terribly political person, who's in one of the important states, it probably resonates a lot more with that person to talk about Trump's weird Hannibal Lecter obsession, talk about...
See, here we go. Here we go.
His obsession about sharks versus electrocution. Those kinds of things probably get through to that kind of voter more than talking about his authoritarian and fascistic tendencies. And in their way, they're equally disqualifying, right? Because, like, who wants a president who thinks Hannibal Lecter was a good guy?
So, look, I think that people have historically made a mistake in running against Trump, in not fighting fire with fire. Donald Trump is a performer. Part of it is an old Southern political trick of being part entertainer. Right. And I think the idea that people were going to raise above him and not go at him, I think you got to go at the guy very directly. And I think you have to fight fire with fire. And you can't be afraid to do it. The American people love democracy. They love an election. They may say all the time, we don't like the ridicule, but they love it. They respond to it. And you've got to meet the moment of.
Let me ask you guys this. Is this guy accurate here? If you guys agree with what this dude is saying, give me a thumbs up. If y'all agree, or if you disagree, then give me a thumbs down. I think that there's a sizable enough portion of America who is actually interested in the foundations of policy, in the implementation of policy, in how these policies will affect us going forward. I think that there's enough of us to say that everybody isn't on board with this. Everybody's not on board with this. One of the biggest complaints that a lot of us have about the DNC in Chicago was that there wasn't enough policy discussed.
The street. This is the streets. This is the neighborhoods. This is the kitchen tables of America. And I think you cannot treat Trump as though Trump is a shucker and a bluffer and a bamboozler.
A shucker, a bluffer, and a bamboozler. So he just kind of, he did what he did right there, right? So he did what he did right there. You know what I'm saying? He was that entire comment sounds like this guy looks. If you get it, you get it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Kale. Kale says, crazy how the group that believes in switching genders and body parts are calling people weird. Yeah, that's an excellent point. It's also interesting how they do all the identity politics over there. But then when they're asked about their identity in a Senate hearing, they can't identify what a woman is. They can't identify what a woman is. You know what I'm saying? They can't tell you what a woman is.
He knows that selling, we call it in the neighborhood, wolf tickets, will put someone on the defensive. And I think people have to go directly back at him, fight fire with fire. I say, Donald Trump, you need a haircut and you need a better quality tanning bed.
Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, you know this history better than most, sir, coming from the state that you come from, going back too long. Yeah, there are a lot of entertainers in Louisiana politics. But yeah, look, I agree, and I think it throws him off his game. And I think for Harris and Walz and other high-ranking Democrats to mock him, I think that he makes him have trouble finding his footing.
Shout out to Kale. Throw some flames in the chat for Kale. Another great point. Shout out to Tim. What's good with it, bro? Kale says, LOL, bullying is encouraged for liberals. Anyone else is a misogynistic bully. Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. Absolutely.
Vain fella, he's proud of himself. He's vain. And I think it's important to understand you have to meet the moment. The American people are tired of Donald Trump just getting away with the hijinks and not being forcefully challenged. And a candidacy like a Harris-Walz candidacy, I think would do itself well by doing this. I think Donald Trump has every intention of debating. I think this entire conversation about him not debating is a game to try to dominate the news cycle. He's shucking, he's bluffing, he's distracting, he's doing what he does well. He's going to debate. He doesn't really care about the rules. He's just trying to make an issue so that if he does not do well in the debate, he will claim it was rigged. He'll claim he was the victim. This is an old narrative, and people need to not fall for it over and over again.
The new piece online now for the New Republic. Editor Michael Tomasky. Thank you so much, Michael, for being with us. Check out the story. And
yeah, that's wild, man. So that's the new strategy. That's how we're gonna deal with Trump and people that we don't like. You know what I'm saying? So take a look at this, right? In addition to that, so now you actually have Trump and Kamala Harris going back and forth. We're gonna take a look at this article from the Sun, U.S. All right, trading insults. Trump calls Kamala Harris all talk and no action after she brands him an unserious man in high-stakes DNC speech. Okay. Kamala Harris hurled jabs at Donald Trump during her keynote speech at the Democratic National Convention, but that didn't stop the brash tycoon from hitting back with some of his own barbs. Harris officially accepted the Democratic Party's nomination for president as she took to the stage for the biggest speech of her career, thanking President Joe Biden after walking onto the stage to a roaring applause. All right. So again, you guys know, like the media has really, if you ask me, the media this year, one of the things that has been revealed is that the media has really shown their ability to control people's minds. It's actually kind of scary. They changed the whole narrative around Joe Biden being a quitter to him being some type of valiant hero for stepping down. They've turned Kamala Harris, who was one of the least popular vice presidents in history with some of the lowest approval ratings ever, into the Democratic Party savior, we're seeing all of these formations occur right before our eyes. That either tells you one of two things. It tells you that the media has a ridiculous competency for manipulation of people's brains, or it shows that people are very easily swayed, or both. You know what I'm saying? Or both. So my question to you guys is, which one or both do you think that it is? So now here it says Harris received a standing ovation as Beyonce's song Freedom rang out throughout the United Center in Chicago. Okay, let's get to business. Let's go to business, she said, quieting the crowd before thanking her husband, Doug Emhoff. Before starting her address, she said the phrase thank you 27 times. And this didn't go unnoticed by the Republican critics who were quick to point out her repetition. Okay? So then they got all these highlights in here. All right? So next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Fox News, because I believe they interviewed Tulsi Gabbard again. And I think that they are asking her about the debate between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Now, here's my question. Who do you think has more motivation to make the debate not happen? Does Trump have more motivation to make the debate not happen? Or does Harris have more of a motivation to make the debate not happen? Let me know what you guys think. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel and you're watching, take a moment, subscribe, hit that bell, share the stream to your social media. If you're a part of Discord, make sure that you hit that link that's in the chat and join the Discord. All right.
All right. Meanwhile, the Trump and Harris campaigns are battling over debate rules as the candidates head to key swing states this week.
Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy joins us live from the White House. Hey, Peter.
And a familiar name that we can talk about this morning, Tulsi Gabbard. She had the sharpest lines of attack against then Senator Harris on the debate stages in 2020.
Now, this is what I was saying last night. How many people saw the stream that we did last night? If you saw that stream that we did last night, give me a thumbs up. If y'all didn't, give me a thumbs down. Now, this is what I said. The narrative has come out that Trump is intimidated by a quote-unquote strong, independent, quote-unquote woman. A strong, well-spoken, independent woman is Trump's kryptonite, right? Now, when I heard that talking point brought up, that made me realize this. What ended up happening was Trump probably beat one of the strongest women in America, Hillary Clinton, right, to get into office the first time. So that clearly wasn't any kryptonite there. I thought kryptonite was supposed to make you weaker. That's usually what happens on Superman, right? You know what I'm saying? So he got past a strong pants-wearing woman, right? His first time. Kamala Harris, however, was up against another strong woman, a modern chick like Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi packed her up, shipped her out, and it was actually Kamala Harris who has the kryptonite against quote unquote strong, successful, intelligent, well-spoken women. Would you guys agree? Because that's what the evidence shows. The evidence shows that Trump has the ability to beat one and become a president. The evidence also shows that Tulsi Gabbard failed to advance as a result of an early defeat by one. Yet somehow strong women are a quote-unquote kryptonite to Trump. I don't understand that. If that makes any sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, give me a thumbs down.
Donald Trump prepare for his debate with Harris behind the scenes, and she is officially joining his effort to beat her.
It's not about Democrats versus Republicans. Right. It's about having a president who stands for freedom, peace, and prosperity, which is Donald Trump, versus having a president in Kamala Harris who attacks our freedoms and censors us and uses political retaliation, who has pushed us to the brink of war, and who's created this economic hardship for Americans across the country.
The Harris campaign is showing their hand in terms of priorities, visiting just one battleground state this week, but for 2 days, Georgia. Trump has Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania ahead before the weekend, as a very unlikely celebrity is coming forward saying they hope Joe Biden does something that Trump did. Kim Kardashian has posted on X last week, I had the opportunity to visit the Department of Justice. She goes on to say, I hope President Biden takes the opportunity to make clemency a significant part of his legacy before he leaves office. Hashtag clemency now. President Biden has been joking before he went on vacation that he will campaign for or against Harris, whatever she thinks would help. It seems that the calculation, at least for now, has been made.
Shout out to Shante. Make sure you guys show Shante some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Shante funding the organization. Definitely appreciate it. If I can find the drop.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
The money, y'all. There's poor people around. I'm rich, bitch.
To Shante. Shante says the media is bought and paid to say whatever they want to. I agree 100%. And you can tell. You can tell. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Crowned and Lesson. Crowned and Lesson says Kim K needs to campaign to keep her legs closed. Oof. Ooh.
I shouldn't have said that.
He should just stay out of it. Back to you.
That's what she's doing a good job at. And Peter, speaking of clemency, the conventional wisdom is Joe Biden will pardon his son, Hunter, after the election, right?
Well, that depends if you believe what Joe Biden and all of his top officials have said, which is that he will not, under any circumstances, pardon Hunter Biden.
Go ahead.
It's a big
He's only going to have the power of clemency and the pardon until January. So he definitely could. It's not like he's never done anything that he, contrary to what he said. But it's possible. Another thought about this, it is possible that he just has it worked out with Kamala Harris. Something like, I'll endorse you, but if something comes down when you're the president, I need you to let him go.
Yep. Yeah, he's got to get convicted again. He's got something in September or not get exonerated.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I bet that was part of the deal. I will step down if you endorse. I'll endorse you, Kamala. Kamala has to be the nominee, and Kamala, you have to promise me that you're going to pardon my son. Or if she doesn't win in November, then he'll pardon him before he steps down.
Remember, James Comer wraps up his investigation. Said, by the way, it's $27 million to flow to the Biden family now that the Bidens are flowing right out of the White House. It is kind of amazing before we get into this. How many Biden officials are now Kamala Harris officials? Just like that. The same people tell us that Joe is fine. He's going to be great. We're going to win the re-election. That's like, I work for the other person.
That is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to be seemingly working for two administrations in real time, wouldn't you guys say? That is wild.
Right. Is there anyone in the White House at all? Yeah. Do they even have someone to vacuum?
And he's on vacation again for the second week in a row.
Right. What's interesting is
our country is running itself.
That circle of people around Joe Biden who, right up until the debate, said, go for it. You're the only person who can beat Trump. It's like, you're fantastic. You're great. Wow, we saw that show. Get out. We're going to work for her. Right. It was that quick.
They never acknowledge it. They just pop up representing somebody else.
Well, it worked.
All right, let's talk about the thing that's most important to Americans, and that is the economy. And if you look at some of the stats about what means the most, Fox News poll, the top issue of the day, in February, 37% of you said the economy. Now, 38% say it's not going away. And this is the key within the subset is inflation. It is lower than it was, obviously, when it was high in 2022, but it's still 3% above. The prices are now 20% above where they were food prices.
Food prices 20 cents above. And now, remember, they're saying that this is a result of price gouging. Yeah, I got to agree with Sybil. If you guys agree with Sybil, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Sybil says the country is on autopilot. Facts. Super facts. Here's my question. What is the Biden-Harris plan to get prices down without using quote-unquote price fixing or quote-unquote price gouging methods? Yeah, how many people remember that? Throw some clown faces in the chat if you remember Putin's price hike. You guys remember that? I did not tell you. I told you guys back then when we were talking about that this would come back. Here we are.
All right, let's talk about the thing that's most important to Americans, and that is the economy. And if you look at some of the stats about what means the most, Fox News poll, the top issue of the day, in February, 37% of you said the economy. Now 38% say it's not going away. And this is the key within the subset is inflation. It is lower than it was, obviously, when it was high in 2022, but it's still 3% above the prices are now 20% above where they were food prices when Joe Biden took over. Keep in mind with inflation, it's only going up 3% instead of 9%. Inflation might be going down, but the price of goods is still up.
Right. And when you look at that mountain right there with that blue line right there, what happened at that point? That was when all that federal money was coming into the economy. And that's what caused the inflation to spike up over north of 9%. And who was the person who broke the tie in the Senate to make sure that the American Rescue
She had the
went
gavel.
through?
Yes.
She absolutely did. It was 50-50. Kamala Harris said, okay, I'm going to pass that. Then she also broke the tie when it came to the 2022 and 2023 fiscal year spending budgets, which pumped more spending.
Hey, they found the crazy pictures of her. They found the wildest looking pictures of her that they could, didn't they? They found the craziest looking pictures of Kamala Harris that they could find. Good Lord. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 50 people watching and we got 44 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 90, that'd be great.
Into the economy, causing the inflation that we're talking about. So she has got her fingerprints on inflation.
Well, it's interesting because Politico has a new piece that came out this morning. Can I just vote for her instead of Biden? And it talks about the Kamala Harris campaign trying to scramble to get the Hispanic vote. And they thought that she would be able to recover after Biden.
Now, I didn't know about that. How many people knew about this? The Kamala Harris campaign is, quote unquote, scrambling to get the Hispanic vote. Now, what do you think that's going to require for her to do to get that vote? What is she going to have to do to get that vote? Sometimes I wonder, a lot of these people that just come out and start, you know what I'm saying, like just going in on people who are skeptics and ask questions. Sometimes I wonder if those people actually want to see any improvement of any of the type of situations that we have. What do you all think?
That the American Rescue
She had the
went
gavel.
through?
Yes.
She absolutely did. It was 50-50. Kamala Harris said, okay, I'm going to pass that. Then she also broke the tie when it came to the 2022 and 2023 fiscal year spending budgets, which pumped more spending into the economy, causing the inflation that we're talking about. So she has got her fingerprints on inflation.
Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said she laughing like a demon. Sitting in that White House laughing like a demon. Oh, man.
Well, it's interesting because Politico has a new piece that came out this morning. Can I just vote for her instead of Biden? And it talks about the Kamala Harris campaign trying to scramble.
Hey, shout out to the 50. Shout out to 50. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man AB. My man AB says, shout out to the perpetual 50. Facts. Y'all know what the perpetual 50 y'all know what the perpetual 50 is. Shout out to the perpetual 50.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Shout out to the perpetual 50. Yo, throw some 50s in the chat. Throw some 50s in the chat. The perpetual 50. Matter of fact, you know what? Once we get some more members, because I used up all the membership. I don't know if y'all seen, I put the March of Dimes one and all that in there. But once we get some more memberships and I can get some more emojis, we making a 50 membership emoji, a 50 cent one. It's going to be the old 50 Cent Power of a Dollar album cover.
To get the Hispanic vote. And they thought that she would be able to recover after Biden when it came to the border and all of that. Well, it comes to find out that the number one issues for Latinos and Hispanic communities is the economy.
Of course.
And she's struggling on that issue and they're not rallying behind her. So whatever group you're talking about in the country, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, white Americans, everyone is struggling right now.
Well, Axios is reporting that.
And that right there is what makes the economy the number one issue in the United States right now. That's what makes that the number one issue. And the proposals that Kamala Harris came out with are extremely weak. They're extremely weak. We're going to be going over them again, but they're weak. They don't do much. They don't help.
Her campaign is now saying they might not have enough time to release her policies. The reason she doesn't want her policies released is because her campaign is saying she's flip-flopping on a lot of her past voting record, including no fracking. The list goes on and on.
She is. This is all true. This is all true. And here's another problem. If anybody presses her on a Biden era policy and she says she's against it, all somebody has to do is say, well, as vice president, what are you doing right now to try to get this to stop? And how is she going to respond to that question? How's that question going to help? Shout out to fraction format. You know what I'm saying? That's improper fraction format. Shout out to the improper fractions.
Trying to scramble to get the Hispanic vote. And they thought that she would be able to recover after Biden when it came to the border and all of that. Well, it comes to find out that the number one issues for Latinos and Hispanic communities is the economy.
Of course.
And she's struggling on that issue, and they're not rallying behind her. So whatever group you're talking about in the country, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, white Americans, everyone is struggling right now.
Well, Axios is reporting that her campaign is now saying they might not have enough time to release her policies. The reason she doesn't want her policies released is because
how is she not going to have enough time to release policies? I want you guys to pay very close attention to this. Did y'all hear that? She's not going to have time to release her policy. What kind of crap is that? You're the president. What do you mean? Or you're the vice president. What do you mean? How do you just not? I don't have time to do this part of my job. Like what?
Border and all of that. Well, it comes to find out that the number one issues for Latinos and Hispanic communities is the economy.
Of course.
And she's struggling on that issue, and they're not rallying behind her. So whatever group you're talking about in the country, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, white Americans, everyone is struggling right now.
Well, Axios is reporting that her campaign is now saying they might not have enough time to release her policies. The reason she doesn't want her policies released is because
now if I'm able to find this Axios article about her not having time to release the policies, I'll do a video about it and put it up. Okay. Or if I see it and I'm able to grab it and do it real quick during one of the next live streams, then we'll do it. But that's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to DC. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says, what grade would you get in school for that kind of answer? What kind of performance plan would you get put on your job for that kind of answer? Exactly. And exactly. Shout out to John. So what are we voting for then, if not your policies? Exactly. Well, just vote so Trump don't get in there again. That's all. It's just so Trump don't get in there again. Trump got in there the first time. Like, this is wild, man.
Her campaign is saying she's flip-flopping on a lot of her past voting record, including no fracking. The list goes on and on of things that she wants to take away.
I got to agree. Shout out to Torian. Torian says the couch is a viable option. If you are opting couch, make sure you pick up some of that couch merchandise. You know what I'm saying? That's in the description box down there. And throw some couches in the chat. All right? Shout out to my man, Win Lose a Rug. Make sure y'all show Win Lose a Rug some love for the super sticker. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Win Lose a Rug funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Hey, Pit Fighter was like the first of the grimy genre of video games. If you ask me, like Pit Fighter was a grimy video game. It was grimy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody ever played it, but Pit Fighter was grimy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Win Lose a Rug for standing on business. Make sure y'all show Win Lose a Rug some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Win Lose a Rug, supporting the organization and standing on business.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Win Lose a Rug said, I'm late, but I'm here. Last night's stream was fire. I appreciate you, bro. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yo, and if y'all haven't checked out the stream from last night, make sure that y'all go and check that stream out.
or did want to take away your health insurance plan. Now she's big on the border. She was never big on the border. You see the inflation rates. That was under the Biden-Harris administration. And now Trump is going after her for all these expensive items in the grocery store, how high gas prices are. She can't defend herself because she, over the past few years, has been touting Bidenomics. Look at Trump's latest campaign ad.
And the fact that she's not able to defend herself, if you ask me, that's one of the reasons why they're keeping her away from the media. And that's another reason why now at the last minute, they're trying to come up with these weird issues with the debate and the debate rules. If you if you ask me, those things are directly correlated. You know what I'm saying?
Everyday prices are too high. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes. That is called Bidenomics.
And he goes on to say, she's saying she's trying to divorce herself from it. They tie her to it. Now, Harris comes back and she's talking about this is her version of how she's strong in the economy. Watch.
When I am elected president, I will make it a top priority to bring down costs. I will fight to give money back to working and middle class Americans.
How's she going to do that, though? Because the way that we've seen that she claims she's going to do it, we've already seen how it doesn't work. Yeah, shout out to DSA. If you guys agree with DSA, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. DSA says, seems like they're stonewalling the debate. Yeah, that could be. Could be. I definitely don't think they want Kamala Harris in front of a mic without anybody, like, telling her what she needs to do, though.
The border, you see the inflation rates. That was under the Biden-Harris administration. And now Trump is going after her for all these expensive items in the grocery store, how high gas prices are. She can't defend herself because she, over the past few years, has been touting Bidenomics. Look at Trump's latest campaign ad.
Everyday prices are too high. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes. That is called Bidenomics.
And he goes on to say, she's saying she's trying to divorce herself from it. They tie her to it. Now, Harris comes back and she's talking about this is her version of how she's strong in the economy. Watch.
When I am elected president, I will make it a top priority to bring down costs. I will fight to give money back to working and middle class Americans.
So why hasn't she made it a top priority up until this point?
Exactly. And then if you look at the full.
Right. And see, now that question right there, that question that this lady just asked, that right there is what they don't want to happen during the debate, which is going to inevitably happen. It's going to inevitably happen. Wouldn't you guys agree? It's going to inevitably happen. So I don't know why they're trying to stop it. May as well just get it on out the way. You know what I'm saying?
Ad when she goes after Donald Trump, she doesn't have any of his words. She just puts photos of him in that ad. Right. Whereas in Donald Trump's ad, he highlights her words. That just shows you they have nothing to run against him when it comes to the economy. They can steal his ideas, but they can't use his words and say, okay, he's going to get rid of Medicare. And they say that in the ad, but they have no quote or any video of him saying he's going to get rid of Medicare.
But here's what I want to hear. She says she's going to make everything more affordable. That's the theme, affordability. And in fact, that 1 minute everyday ad, they're going to start running in battleground states right now. $150 million ad buy. They raised $500 million in 5 weeks, so they got plenty of money to spend on that. But here's the thing.
How did they raise? Look, they raised $500 million in 5 weeks. $500 million. Where'd they get all that money from? Who are all these donors? All that money that they got, that right there is who's going to be getting the majority of the politics from these people. That's who's going to be getting all the policies. That's who's going to be getting all the special treatment. That's who's going to be getting pandered to.
That's my point, Ainsley. She talks about how I'm going to make things more affordable, but she doesn't explain how. And if she would explain how, then people would go, okay, I think that's a good idea or a bad idea. But by keeping it broad and vague, then it's like, well, she said she was going to make things more affordable. I'm just going to trust her.
Once she says how, many people are going to say, why the delay? Why not start now then?
Only 29% of registered voters say that they're doing better than.
And that's a great question. Let me know what you guys think. Why not start now? Why would they not start now? That's a great question. I think that's fair. Shout out to everybody watching. We got 59 people watching and we got 64 likes. If everybody could take a moment, bang on that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell and subscribed, hit it twice, hit the bell twice and subscribe. Also, please share the stream to your social media, wherever your social media is, wherever you're watching from. All right. Tag a friend. And if you're not part of the Discord, hit that link that's pinned in the chat and join the Discord. And also make sure that you follow on Twitch and on Rumble as well.
They were under Biden. 64%, that's 2 out of 3, say they are worse off. Independents strongly disagree, saying 20% said they are better off under Biden, and only 21%, 71% wish they had Trump economy back. That's independents. So that's obviously what Trump wants to be talking about now, and he's proud of what he did. The only thing that she has brought out is she brought out price controls. It didn't go over well. She also brought out cracking down on gouging. That didn't go over well. Because, yeah, that's how she pronounces it. And also the other thing she brought up is on housing, which is an interesting approach. I am going to incentivize the building of 2 million homes.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian.
So that's another question that I've had about this entire thing. Is that 2 million homes thing? How is that 2 million homes thing going to happen? How is that 2 million homes thing going to happen? How are they going to get that together? Is that even possible? Are they able to build like that? That's wild. That's a very aggressive goal, I would say. That's a very aggressive goal. You know what I mean? So now here they're talking about the Trump campaign grilling the Harris campaign over the debate. Because as we know, there's all these debacles that have occurred with the debate.
Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Harris battling over the rules of the upcoming ABC News presidential debate. That is on September 10th, exactly 2 weeks from today. The Harris-Walz campaign pushing for open mics during the debate. Watch.
I think this issue is resolved unless Donald Trump allows his handlers to overrule him. We'll have a fulsome debate between the two candidates with live microphones where both candidates will be able to lay out their vision for where they want to take this country. That is absolutely our preference on this campaign, to have live microphones so that the American people can see both candidates for who they are and hear everything that comes out of their.
So here's the question. If they wanted the microphones to be live, how come for the Joe Biden debate, they didn't make them live? If that's the preference. It seems like they're kind of changing stuff up at the last minute.
Mouths.
Meanwhile, Trump's accusing Harris of trying to back out. Watch this.
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on, but the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. We agreed to the same rules and same specifications. And I think that's probably what it should be. But they're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
The Trump campaign also calling out Harris over potential conflicts of interest as she preps for the debate with Google's lead defense attorney. The Biden-Harris administration is currently suing Google over its digital advertising practices, with the trial set to begin.
If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. I didn't know anything about that. Did you all hear that? How many people just heard that? I'm going to run this again.
She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
The Trump campaign also calling out Harris over potential conflicts of interest as she preps for the debate with Google's lead defense attorney. The Biden-Harris administration is currently suing Google over its digital advertising practices.
Isn't that a conflict of interest? If that's a conflict of interest, give me an angry face in the chat. If it's not a conflict of interest, then give me a thumbs down in the chat.
She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
The Trump campaign also calling out Harris over potential conflicts of interest as she preps for the debate with Google's lead defense attorney. The Biden-Harris administration is currently suing Google over its digital advertising practices.
That's absolutely a conflict of interest. I mean, that's a clear form conflict of interest. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, that's wild. And I'm surprised that that's not more in the news. We'll have to find, if you guys see anything about this, shoot it to me on the Discord. You know what I'm saying? Tag me in it on, Twitter or whatever. But we'll definitely go over it because this is interesting. I didn't know anything about this.
With the trial set to begin September 9th. just one day before the debate. Let's bring in Trump 2024 National Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Caroline, good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you, Cheryl.
Good to see you, too. So can you give us some more color on this debate right now about the mics and where we are this morning?
Yes. Well, let's be very clear. President Trump has no qualms with having mics shut off, has no qualms with having mics turned on. It does not matter to him. However, our campaign and the Harris campaign agreed to the same set of rules that were already determined during the CNN debate with President Trump and Joe Biden. We both agreed to those same set of rules. And now, all of a sudden, as Kamala Harris's advisors begin to prep her for this debate, they're trying to change the goalposts and change the rules to her advantage. One of the rules that they want changed is they want Kamala Harris to have notes during the debate.
See? See? Now, I'm curious. I'd like to hear Kamala Harris's people, what they got to say about this. What do you guys think about that?
Matter to him. However, our campaign and the Harris campaign agreed to the same set of rules that were already determined during the CNN debate with President Trump and Joe Biden. We both agreed to those same set of rules. And now, all of a sudden, as Kamala Harris's advisors begin to prep her for this debate, they're trying to change the goalposts and change the rules to her advantage. One of the rules that they want changed is they want Kamala Harris to have notes during the debate. If Kamala Harris can't debate President Trump without notes, if she cannot defend her record without reading off her messaging talking points that are given to her by her campaign advisors, she certainly can't be trusted to lead this country, to lead the free world. And
let me ask you guys this. Do you all agree with that? What this woman just said? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
And so they are trying to change the rules to benefit her. President Trump has said he will be there on September 10th. It's up to Kamala Harris to subscribe to the rules that both of our campaigns agreed to and show up for that debate.
Caroline, there have been reports in the mainstream media, the left-wing media, to be clear here, that say that there are those on the campaign, not naming anyone, but those in the campaign that actually want the mics to be shut down because that would be better for President Trump because he did so well in that same scenario against Joe Biden. Can you comment on that?
Well, we are confident that President Trump will do just as well as he did against Joe Biden, against this debate with Kamala Harris, too. And as President Trump said yesterday, he's okay with the mics being on. He's okay with the mics being turned off. However, we came to an agreement with the Harris campaign, and it's the Harris campaign who's now trying to shift the goalposts.
And I agree. I think it says something. If you already came to an agreement and you established the agreement, and then as it comes time for things to materialize, then you change the agreement. That's not cool. That says something. Shout out to Torian. I got to agree. Torian said they need to be more worried about running their cities and municipalities than anything. And if you live in Owsley County, you definitely need to tighten up. Facts. You definitely probably need to take a good, long, hot shower, too. You know what I'm saying? Probably need one of those. Probably need a chemical scrub somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Probably need some antibiotics. You know what I mean?
Change the rules at the last minute to protect her. President Trump has proven to be one of the best debaters in modern political history. It's Kamala Harris is the appointed Democrat nominee because he knocked Joe Biden out of the race with his debate performance previously. He will be ready to go on September 10th. And it's because he actually understands the issues. He has an understanding of his policy plans for the next 4 years. He has a record to stand on as president where he secured the border, unleashed the might of our economy, secured peace throughout this world. Kamala Harris has a dangerously liberal record. She has been a failure as vice president. She's flip-flopping on every single issue that she has ever held. And that's why her campaign is nervous about her getting on that stage without notes. That's why they're trying to change the rules now. It's unacceptable. If she wants to be the leader of the free world, she should be able to debate President Trump without notes. And further, it also is proven by Kamala Harris's refusal to sit down for an interview.
I agree. And we got into this yesterday. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure you guys throw some like enforcers in the chat for Brooklyn Queen for enforcing them likes. Absolutely. This is what we got into yesterday. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting seeing how this goes moving forward.
It's been 36 days. She hasn't done an interview. Now she's trying to get out of this debate. It's because her people know that she's incapable of defending her record and her failure as vice president.
In these negotiations with the Harris campaign, have you heard that from the campaign specifically, that this could be a deal breaker for them? That's one question to you. The other is, and I just want to clarify here, whether the mics are on or the mics are off, Donald Trump will be at the debate on September 10th.
President Trump will be at the debate because he is unafraid to debate Kamala Harris. You'll have to ask the Harris campaign whether or not they will show up. She should show up. Again, it's been 36 days, no sit-down interview, and now they're trying to change the rules. So perhaps they're trying to get out of it, but you'll have to ask them.
All right. Well, all right. Let's move on to the other issue here. He got another major endorsement yesterday from former Democratic presidential candidate, former Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Watch this.
Whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, if you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people.
So this is just days after independent president candidate RFK Jr. dropped out of the race through his support, of course, behind Donald Trump. There's a new poll. It was taken right after the DNC that showed Harris and Trump neck and neck nationally. Trump did get a boost from RFK's endorsement, Caroline. So what impact do you expect that these two endorsements are going to have on the race? And are there any swing states where you believe these endorsements will be helpful?
Yes, our campaign did put out a memo following RFK Jr.'s endorsement showing that his support does help President Trump in all of the target battleground states. We are also excited to welcome Tulsi Gabbard to the campaign. Both RFK and Tulsi Gabbard are former Democrats who realize that the modern-day Democrat Party under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris has moved so far to the left that they can no longer be part of it.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many of you all feel the same way? If you feel the same way, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down.
Democrat Party is the pro-open border policy, the defund the police party. They support war around this world. They support hiking up taxes on the American people. They have created the worst inflation crisis in a generation. And so we are excited about RFK and Tulsi Gabbard joining the campaign. We're also excited about the many millions of former Democrats across this country, voters who are joining President Trump's movement to make this country safe, secure, wealthy, prosperous again, and they will continue to, RFK and Tulsi will continue to hit the campaign trail with us over the next several days.
Real quick, Caroline, before you go, are there any other high profile, big name Democrats that you expect that are going to come out and pledge their support to Donald Trump?
Well, I won't make news on the show on that front this morning. However, people should stay tuned. President Trump is building the most diverse political movement this country has ever seen. And we welcome all Americans from all backgrounds with different viewpoints to our campaign, unlike the Democrats who are actually suing RFK Jr. to keep him off of the ballot. That's not true democracy.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? So, like every good YouTuber does, right? You give about an hour of nonsense, right? Before you get to what the title is actually about. That was pretty smooth transitioning, wouldn't you guys say? If you guys would say that that's pretty smooth transitioning, give me some flames in the chat. Voila. Magic. There it is. Trump adds RFK Jr. and Gabbard to presidential transition team. Okay. So, and apparently, according to what they were saying on the news there might be some other people that are joining that we just don't know about yet. So this is interesting. If you ask me, this kind of stuff right here is extremely problematic for the Harris campaign. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now here says former President Trump has tapped RFK and former Representative Tulsi Gabbard to his transition team, bringing both aboard in formal roles on the heels of their endorsements. As President Trump's broad coalition of supporters and endorsers expands across party lines, we are proud that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard have been added to the Trump-Vance transition team. Senior campaign advisor Brian Hughes said in a statement, "We look forward to seeing their powerful voices on the team as we work to restore America's greatness." Now, if you ask me, this is very interesting because you don't really see stuff like this a lot. You don't really see stuff like this a lot. You know what I mean? The New York Times first reported that Kennedy and Gabbard were joining the transition team. Kennedy had all but confirmed his new role during a recent interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. All right. Now, I didn't see that, but we could look at it at some point. Right. I don't think it would be a bad idea to check it out. I've been asked to go on the transition team, to help pick the people who will be running the government. And I'm looking forward to that, Kennedy said. Kennedy last week suspended his independent White House bid and endorsed Trump, a move the former president campaign has argued will give him a boost in battleground states where Kennedy was pulling support away from Trump. And as you guys can see, we've seen that materialize. We've seen that materialize. That's actually come true. Shout out to James. What's good with it, bro? So a lot of these things are coming to pass. You know what I'm saying? Gabbard, who left the Democratic Party in 2022, has since become a regular presence in the conservative media, endorsed Trump on Monday. Gabbard has also been assisting Trump ahead of a debate with Vice President Kamala Harris on September 10th. Now, how many people heard about Tulsi Gabbard got added to some type of watch list or something like that? Did y'all hear about that? They added her to some type of domestic terrorism watch list or something like that. Some wild stuff. Trump announced earlier this month the leadership for his transition team, which would lay the groundwork for personnel and policy moves should he win in November. The team is being led by two top donors in the Trump campaign, Linda McMahon, who previously served as head of small business administration during Trump's first team, and businessman Howard Lutnick, head of the financial firm Cantor Fitzgerald. His running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, will serve as honorary chair, as will his elder sons, Eric and Donald. Okay, so there's that. So that's official. You know what I'm saying? That is official. Trump has officially added RFK and Tulsi Gabbard to his presidential transition team. If you ask me, that is a huge implication, because when it comes to quote unquote voters, that's going to give a lot of marginal votes to Trump. And without hitting the media, and if the debate performance ain't on par, that could spell doom for Kamala Harris. We don't know. Only time will tell. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody who came through to the stream. I really appreciate you guys. All right. Make sure you guys throw some flames, some money, some thumbs up in the chat for the stream sponsors. We have 4 stream sponsors. Definitely appreciate y'all. Without y'all, it ain't no me. Shout out to Shante. Make sure y'all show her some love. Shout out to AB. Make sure y'all show AB some love. Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug. Make sure y'all show Win Loser Rug some love. And shout out to my man Win Loser Rug for standing on business for 10 months with the membership. I definitely appreciate it, bro. Don't move a muscle. This will take you right into the next scheduled content. And I possibly will be on later with some more live streams, some more clips, some little something. I don't know what, but little something like what Brooklyn Queen just hooked your boy up with, little something, you know. Appreciate it.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
And shout out to my man Kiko410. I definitely appreciate it, bro. Make sure y'all show him some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Kiko410 with the buzzer beater.
Silence. I ain't got no money, pa.
This is the hardest record out.
And as always, ladies and gentlemen,